I did press play. There he is.
Hey, PC, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, okay. Brian's running a little late. Brian's in Oslo, Norway, and he's helping with the competition there. Yeah, and then he gets a phone call or a message from, imagine of old people to message him in Oslo, Norway, Saud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Saud's in Oslo, in Norway right now. If people don't know Saud is he's the event organizer, and he runs Dubai, and a good friend of Ricky's as well.
Yeah.
But he happens to be in Oslo the same time as Brian is, so they met up to do some stuff.
Oh right, they didn't plan that. It just coincidence.
No, it was coincidence, pure coincidence. He messaged Brian. It's like, hey, are you in Oslo? And he's like, yeah. So they just met up. So he should be here in about 10 minutes or not. But so I don't know. How you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Good.
Good?
I survived my first week in Vegas.
Yeah. Are you recovered from the jet lag?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I settled in pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping good. Training feels good. So I'm happy. Just trying to survive the heat. It's been hottest weather I've ever experienced.
They said, I guess the other day, it was like they set a new record for the hottest temperature in Vegas.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yesterday, 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, man. I've been at 120 degrees, and it's not fun. That's crazy.
It's not fun at all.
Yeah. Have you guys been training a lot outside?
A little bit, but it's been like way too hot to do too much because we just destroy ourselves.
Yeah. And you're staying with Alex the whole time?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here with Alex. Yeah, it's good.
That's good. Is that the first time that, is this the first time you've actually got a chance to train with her? First time you've been able to train with her?
Yeah, properly, yeah. I was here in 2022.
Yeah.
And because she lives a fair way out of Vegas, we didn't train a lot together in 2022, but this year's going to be good, staying together and literally got the same car, so everywhere she goes, I go, and we're just going to push each other, try not to break each other before the games.
Yeah, have you ever had a training partner with her, like her type of credentials, or someone that good?
Nah.
No?
Nah, never really.
Yeah. Do you find
it's been
when you guys work
good.
out?
It's been very, very close.
Yeah.
Training. I think we're at 2-2 out of all the workouts we've done so far.
Oh, really? You keeping track?
Yeah, we're keeping track.
Oh.
We're not tracking all of them, but just like the main CrossFit workouts.
Mm-hmm. What impresses you the most about her? I mean, she's so young, and I remember, at one point you were that young. But what impresses you the most about Alex?
Probably her strength.
Mm-hmm.
Her strength's pretty impressive. We've been sharing the barbell in our strength workouts.
Bench press.
It's just fun because we can just help each other load the plates. But I always throw some extra plates on. I'm not doing the same weights. But she's super strong.
Oh, well, look who it is. There he is.
Hey, guys.
Here he comes.
What's up, Ricky?
Hey, Brian. How are you, man?
Good. I was listening in the car on the drive back.
You all the way in Oslo? Oh, yeah, all good.
Yeah, we were talking. I was talking with Saud. I told him I had a podcast with you tonight, and he said, "Oh, Ricky's my favorite CrossFit athlete of all time."
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a big fact. Thanks, Saud.
Maybe he's in the comments.
You having fun over there?
Yeah, it's my second time up here. We just had a competition this weekend with Roger. He runs really. I'm very impressed with the competitions he runs here compared to a lot of other ones I go to. So anytime I get a chance to be involved, I try to take it.
Yeah, nice. That's good. Is that the event that was? I think I've seen some online recently. It's like heaps of lights and music and kind of an indoor arena.
Not this one this weekend. I don't know what event you're thinking about, actually.
Yeah, me neither.
PC, what were you guys talking about? I just had to jump out of the car and run in, and I missed it.
Oh, well, Roger says that Ricky should come to Norway.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
he's literally right inside there
there,
looking at me.
Maybe I'll visit there after Scotland.
Oh yeah,
after Rogue.
Actually, you know what? There's a huge competition here. The biggest competition of the year is 2 weeks before Rogue, and I think that Pat Vellner is going to be in town for that.
Oh really? What one's that called?
That's the Oslo Throwdown. They have a huge arena, 1,300 athletes, 2 or 3 giant competition floors, live broadcast. I'll be back here for that as well. And Velner's going to be in town, and it's 2 weeks before Rogue, so you could come get acclimated to the European time zone, and kick some ass down in Scotland.
Yeah, why not? Keep it on the cards. I'll look into it.
Ask Pat about it when you see him this summer, and then reach out to Roger and see what's up.
Who?
Velner,
the competition organizer here.
Oh yeah, I could reach out.
Or he'll reach out. I'll tell him to reach out.
Yeah. Hey Ricky, I was wondering, and this is something I've always wondered. I mean, how's your relationship with Velner? Are you guys? It seems like every time I see you guys at competitions, you guys are, just you're talking, you're joking, you're conversing. I mean, it seems like your relationship seems like it's over the years it's gotten very friendly.
Yeah. I find it's pretty good. We get on pretty well. We're always chatting at competitions and having a bit of banter, and seems like there's no hard feelings from my end, and I feel the same from him. So
was that something?
It's always good fun to catch up with him at competitions.
Yeah. Does that make you happy to know that you have like some of those things that you were when we talked about before before you came back in the sport, you said that that was one of the things that that there wasn't a big concern, but we wanted to make sure that that not everyone had these ill will or ill feelings about you. I mean, does that make you feel a little bit better knowing that that chapter's kind of closed, or that you and him get along now?
Yeah, I say so. It just makes things a little easier, a little less things to worry about. You can just focus on what you got to do and not worry about people hating you or wanting to take your head off when they see you.
Well, he wants to take your head off, but it's usually on the competition floor.
My reception's really bad. I'm trying to find a good spot.
It feels like it's all right there.
That's a bit better.
We hear you okay. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know if you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear. It's just a little bit delayed.
Oh, this seems fine right here.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ricky, a lot of sports, some of the most exciting things about the sport are rivalries. Do you feel like you have any rivals in this sport?
Yes, I think you could say me and Justin have a bit of a rivalry, for sure. I mean, we don't speak a lot at competitions, and since 2022, it's been pretty serious when we do verse each other. So yeah, could probably say Justin.
Because that actually is like that surprises me a little bit. I think that some people might have thought, Velner for the reasons we talked about, or maybe Roman, because you guys have kind of had some battles not just at the games but also in some off-season events, particularly Dubai, and Justin doesn't really compete internationally at all.
Yeah, no, Velner. I don't really feel that same energy with Velner, but I definitely feel it with Justin, and I suppose Roman and Adler are definitely rivals as well. When I like them as people, but when it comes to competition, it's head to head. You definitely feel that energy and feel the vibes and the seriousness when you're around each other.
It can't be too much of a rivalry when Roman's in the comments, though, and he's already saying you're going to win the games.
Oh wait, who's that?
Yeah. This is the fake Roman.
Looks like Taylor Self. Oh, it is.
Taylor Self with the fake name, and I don't actually know who it is. There's a few of these guys that pop up on the comments for the podcast, and he says your rival is the bike.
Ricky versus bike. Hey, I've beaten the bike. I've beaten the bike 99 times. The bike has only beaten me once.
That's right.
And you got rid of it. So.
Yeah, and then I burnt it.
Yeah.
But speaking of this, speaking of this comment here, you and I have we spoke, I think, sometime in Dubai or in the off season, and I've talked to some other people in the space about it, about last year's CrossFit Games in particular. Obviously, you missed the season, you didn't get to compete there. Did you watch the games last year?
Yeah, I watched it.
And when you're watching those games, I think it's fair to say anyone who really knows you as an athlete can look at those tests, and it's impossible to say what's going to happen in competition, but they can at least look at them and say, a lot of these workouts look pretty good for Ricky based on other workouts that you've done well on. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think those workouts would have suited me a lot. And yeah, as you said, obviously anything can happen in competition, but I was even more devastated when all the workouts were getting released at the games. I was like, oh man, way to rub it in.
Well, I was curious what the, kind of maybe a little bit more depth than that of what the experience was like watching it. Was it frustrating? Were there times you wanted to turn it off? Did you find yourself rooting for somebody unexpectedly?
Yeah, I unexpectedly found myself rooting for Roman. I was really keen for Roman to win. Yeah, it was definitely mixed emotions that whole week watching it. It was frustrating at times. Sometimes I wanted to turn it off. Got really angry sometimes, but the only way I found to deal with it and be able to deal with it better was just to go to the gym and set up the workout and do it and try and beat their times. So that's what I did. And
at that point,
I beat most of their times in the workout, so it made me feel better.
And during the games last year in August, where were you at health wise? Like, were there any workouts that you were unable to do at that point?
Yeah, I couldn't snatch or clean and jerk still with my shoulder. like maybe I could have done like a 50 kilo snatch or a 60 kilo snatch and maybe a 90 kilo clean and jerk at that time. Just
so
where
more
my
than
shoulder was
BKG
at.
did
But
in
I
that
was
event.
able, yeah, I could have done what BKG did pretty much. But I was able to do, like, I think I did 6 or 7 workouts.
And then the games end obviously, and I think it was 3 or 4 weeks later they had the road qualifiers. Were you at that point, were you pretty motivated? Like I just need to get back out there and compete.
Yeah, 100%. That was the goal from the start. Like, as soon as I broke my shoulder and had surgery, it was like, all right, let's look at the timeline. Let's see what's achievable for me to get back on the floor and be back out there in the mix with the best in the world. And I kind of just set my sights on that from the start, whether I thought I was going to recover in time or not. That was the focus. And yeah, I signed up to the qualifiers. I still was not 100%. Like, shoulder was still very unstable. I had pain in my wrist and stuff like that. But I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to give it a go. If I qualify, then that gives me another 6 weeks or whatever it was to get ready to go and get over to Texas for Rogue.
And it's been interesting this following the semifinals. I don't know how much you watch some of the other semifinals, but Bill Leahy hurt his Achilles, and he's been posting on Instagram this training that he's doing even with the boot on, and I think it can be actually a good example. And I have a feeling that it was similar for you. Like, you found ways to train and to maintain as much as you could, even while you were recovering from the shoulder injury, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just made sure that I still went to the gym every day and just did my rehab, whether it was 30, 40 minutes, 20 minutes. And then I would just like make up workouts that I could do that wasn't going to hurt my shoulder, which was mainly legs and core stuff and just anything to just keep my mind busy and just keep that positive energy going and not sit at home and sulk about it. And it just helped me process it all, and it made time go quicker.
Yeah, and I think it's important just to identify that, because you guys also, like, you train at is it CrossFit Benton? Is that the name of the gym?
Yeah, that's my brother's gym. I train there a little bit, but I live in Wollongong, which is like an hour away. So I train at Fitness Alley.
But there's people, members at those gyms that are training there as well, and it's just going to happen in life. You're going to roll an ankle, you're going to hurt a wrist, you're going to do something, and sometimes just regular people can find an excuse to not go to the gym because something's not perfect with their body. And so I think it's powerful that you guys that are these elite athletes still show up every day, still find a way to do something to maintain, to sweat a little bit, to get the heart rate up. It's to me, like, an elite athlete having an injury is actually a really positive opportunity to have a good impact on the community around you.
Yeah, definitely. It becomes more relatable to the general community, and they kind of can relate to it. They don't just see us as superhumans; they just see us as a normal person, and we all go through the same highs and lows of everyone else. It's just maybe we deal with it better or not. But I think it was just like a mental thing to just keep turning up and staying positive, and there's always ways to work around injuries or whatever health issues you got going on.
And of course, I'm always watching what you guys are doing. Roman was watching your 50 cal bike video because he's afraid that eventually you're going to beat him on an echo bike workout.
Yeah, with one arm. It's actually crazy how fast you can go with one arm on an echo bike.
I've messed around with that a little bit, not because I have an injured arm, but sometimes you're doing intense intervals on a bike, and if it's a long period of time, you want to like get some water or something. and you can keep up that tempo even if you're just pumping with one arm.
Yeah. Just goes to
Although
show how much the echo bike is in your legs.
I did notice you guys did a nasty echo bike test last week once you got down to the Vegas.
Yeah. As soon as I landed, straight on the echo bike, 100 calories for time. Oh yeah, no worries.
Typical Justin.
What do you think about this comment, and what do you think about Dallin Pepper in general?
Yeah, Dallin's a good guy. I like Dallin. We did the team together at Miami, so it was good to get to know him more. He's just like a nice, humble dude that just works hard. And yeah, I can definitely agree. He's a weapon on the echo bike.
When you're when you're sizing up the field for the games and you see him, right up there, the same kind of points at semifinals as Adler and Roman, does that kind of make an impact on your radar? As, oh man, this guy might be someone I need to keep an eye on come August?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he came 5th last year, and I think he's made even more progress since then. So he's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. You're going to have to watch our back, I reckon.
Would you say that that's it could be just you, but maybe you're aware of this with other athletes, top athletes as well, that's something that some of the better guys in the sport are doing is they're showing up to the CrossFit Games and there's 40 guys there, but you probably or maybe have your eye on a handful of guys as like, these are the guys I really need to keep track of.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's about 5 of us that I can think of that I kind of definitely got to watch out for. And I think we kind of all know who each other are. And I think there'll definitely be other people that get in between on certain workouts. But I think by the end of the week, there's going to be 5 of us that'll be pretty close, I'd say.
I think that there's probably, I think of it a little differently. I feel like there's maybe 10 guys that can challenge for a top 5 or 6 spot with a perfect weekend. But I think there may only be like 3 guys, maybe like 3 guys that could probably win it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's a big difference
10
between
people that could go top 5.
Yeah.
But I think, for the win, I think, 3 of us.
When
as I said, anything can happen. Competition.
So let's go back to the off season, and then we'll bring it up to the games a little bit. You did a lot of competing last year in the off season. I think you were in Rogue, you were in Dubai, you were in Miami. You did both competitions there. What was the thought process behind getting so many off season competitions in?
Pretty much just to get that game time experience back under my belt. Just after missing out on like semifinals and the games, I just wanted to get back out there and just you can't replicate that game time experience. So that was kind of the idea behind it, and I knew it was going to be tough with the amount of travel I had in between competitions and how close it all was together. But I just went for it. That was the goal. That was what I wrote down I was going to do. So I just did it, and I'm glad I did. And it was a successful off season, not only for my physical performance and confidence, but financially as well, which always helps.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't see that because you not being at the games. That's the games paycheck is so big. It's the biggest paycheck you get throughout the season, and if you finish in a podium, you're talking 6 figures. That was taken away from you, as well as semifinals, which is another $10,000 US. So you potentially you're losing hundreds and thousands of dollars. So a lot of people don't realize a lot of athletes' careers, especially the top athletes, depends on the games, and if that games is taken away from you, You don't really have many options to make up that amount. You're lucky enough that you those 3 competitions, row, Dubai, and Wadapalooza, that you had those to kind of fall back on. Maybe not ideally. You didn't want to. I don't know. Would you have done all 3 if you would have went to the games last year?
Nah, I don't think so. I would have probably just done Rogue and Miami.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you're able to do those 3 competitions, and not many athletes talk about that financial burden, and especially someone like you who essentially for 4 years you didn't have a salary. I mean, like, you weren't paid from the sport. I know you had you had like a regular job that you didn't like, but
yeah,
but
finances are definitely a hard part of the sport. Until you kind of make a name for yourself and build your profile, it's definitely a tough road to make ends meet and have enough money to be able to train enough or train full time to be able to be at that level. And yeah, that's something
it's not just the training, right?
For a lot of years.
In addition to the training, if you want to train that much, you need to be able to recover, and in order to recover, you need to spend some money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need to eat, spend money on good food, good body work, and saunas, and like even buying a set of Normatec boots. Like that's $1,200. It's not cheap.
Yeah, those aren't cheap.
You mentioned that those were your goals for the off season, and so you did it. Would you consider yourself a goal-oriented person?
Yeah, definitely. I set these goals, and that's pretty much all I focus on. Or I kind of focus on the day to day and be present, but that main goal is always in the back of my mind, and unconsciously, like, my body and my mind knows that that's what we're working towards.
Is the process of whether you write it down or you just have them in your mind when it comes to goals, is that a very personal thing, or is that something that you talk about with your coach or with your girlfriend or with your brother?
I write it mainly in my mind, but I do write things down. Like, I have little words or things I write down around the house, like near the light switch, like where the last light switch I turn off before I go to bed. It says 2024 CrossFit Games champion. Just like write it on the wall. Just like the last thing you kind of think of before you go to bed. Or just, I don't know, on my mirror it says Year of the Gold. And just like kind of little reminders here and there.
I saw, I think it might have been an Instagram post that Alex Kazan put up recently that she is linked up with Brett, her mental coach. Have you been doing any mental mindset kind of coaching or whatever, mindset stuff?
Nah, never have. Never
He doesn't need it.
I've heard a couple of conversations that Alex has had with that guy. Brett, did you say?
Yeah. I think it's Van City Brett or something like that.
Yeah, Brett.
Yeah, he seems pretty cool. Very passionate and invested.
Just a total random question for you. How much would you love a second opportunity at the obstacle course we did in Dubai last year?
Oh man, I want to go back there and just spend the whole day just figuring that thing out.
That was
I've practiced it since, and I know what I was doing wrong. So I'd love to go back and redeem myself.
It's such a strange thing. It happens once in a while in CrossFit, but you get this workout, you have no chance to practice it. You get one opportunity to do it, and if you screw it up, that's it. Like, it's just over.
Yeah, it was tough. I was devastated, to be honest. At the time, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I was right there watching it because I was shooting photos on just something as simple as a rope. And, yeah, when you fell off of that, the look on your face was like you're just in disbelief. And then and then you got back on and you're like, I gotta finish this thing. And you almost got capped in that. And that would have been even worse if you capped. But yeah, you had a bottom finish, but yeah, that shows again
I've
that
got a
go ahead.
I've got a scar on my stomach from it.
From pulling
when
on
I got
the
back up the second time, I crawled across the top of it and just like skull dragged my nuts and my stomach across the rope and just like I got a scar on my stomach from it, like a burn.
Well,
so that's
better
a good reminder.
better your stomach and not your nuts, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think you could still look back on that and say, maybe I'm glad I had that experience, because something like this could happen again, right? You never know if at the games that Dave's going to come up with something that you can't replicate, that you can't touch before you use it. And then you could potentially draw on that as even if it's not the same skill, as an experience to say, well, I know what it's like to do an event that I've never seen before, to use something I've never used before. And I can maybe have a strategy in mind based on that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a great experience, a great lesson learned. And even that happening at Dubai, it taught me to, not let it get you down and not give up. And I was able to claw my way back to second place in that event. So that was a good reminder and a confidence boost in itself.
And I think that's the key, one of the most key elements of they're on the floor and getting those live experience reps. When I was listening to you say that, it reminded me of talking to Pat Vellner or Noah Olson after the COVID year. And they're just like, I just want live competition because those reps are so valuable to
me. Yeah, they are. You can't beat it. You can't replicate it anywhere. You just have to be on the floor to gain that experience and learn those things about yourself.
I often say this, I would like to get your perspective on it, that the thing that separates the best from the rest in the sport of CrossFit is how they respond to adversity.
Yeah, you could say that. I could agree with that. I think
you don't know anything about adversity, do you?
Yeah, no. I was just thinking that. What's adversity? I've never had it before.
Oh.
Yeah, I think, the way my life's gone and stuff, I think you could throw anything at me and I'd be confident I could get through it. And I think that's the mindset that helps me in CrossFit, is like I'm not afraid of any workout at this point, and I know whatever Castro is going to throw at us, I'm going to be ready, and I know I can do hard things and overcome it. So
have you always been that way? I mean, have you always been that way? Where did this overcoming adversity, this mindset, where did that come from? Is that just from like you playing rugby and footy, as a child, or is that something that you saw in your parents, or you learned from Benny? I mean, where did that come from?
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of all of that. Just like my childhood, how my parents raised me, and just how rugby is a tough sport, and I think the majority of it probably comes from that. Just getting beat up every weekend and trying to win games in rugby it's a hard sport, and and then I think just going through that 4 years that I had off, it really taught me to live with consequences, and sometimes things don't always go your way, and just taught me that nothing's ever final, and unless you let it, and you can always get yourself out of a hole and live out your dreams. It's You just got to keep turning up each day and putting in the work and staying focused on what you want in life, and that's pretty much what I do each day. And and then part of me is just like, I love the word impossible, and sometimes if you give me a challenge and doubt me on it, I love proving people wrong. And sometimes I get like this overwhelming thing of confidence, and I like to show off, and that kind of personality trait I think helps me as well in this sport.
I lost a thought that I had, but are you a person who spends much time, either reading comment sections or, watching CrossFit analysts, media, podcast type of stuff?
Nah, I'm not. You'd be surprised. I literally go to the gym, I train. Once I leave the gym, that's the last thing I do with CrossFit. I go home and I watch rugby, I watch motocross, I watch F1.
UFC.
I barely stretch. I barely do anything outside of the gym that's to do with CrossFit.
That's good.
Eat a ton of food?
Yeah. Eat a ton of food.
So you don't pay attention to any of the predictions, analysis, what they're saying about your competitors, what people are saying about you?
I see it on Instagram, it'll come up, but I don't follow it intensely and listen to the podcasts and all that stuff. I just, whatever comes up on Instagram, I'll scroll past it and go, oh yeah, and just keep scrolling.
Would you say that it motivates you more if you see something that's like Ricky Garard is going to win the games this year, or if it's something that's like Ricky's not even going to win his semifinal?
If it's like the one where it says I'm not going to win, then I'm like, it kind of fires me up. I say, all right, watch this then.
And if it says they're going to win?
And then if it says I'm going to win, then it's like, all right, well, kind of makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm like, yeah, this guy knows me well.
So but you'd almost rather be a little bit of that underdog.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Underdog's always good. But I don't know, sometimes the pressure's good as well, because if you have that pressure to win, then it kind of dictates your thoughts and your actions throughout the day.
We've heard some
how you train.
We've heard some athletes over the years talk about when they get the opportunity or earn the right to wear the leader jersey at the game, that they feel it can feel kind of differently. Do you remember having a different feeling wearing that jersey 2 years ago?
Yeah, I loved wearing it. I hated it when I took it off. I felt like a different energy when I was wearing it. I felt like even if I was tired or not feeling it would just pick me up, and I was able to keep going when I could just see the red and white on my body.
Yeah, I would imagine that. I mean, I don't know how it feels to wear it, and I'm sure it could feel different to different people, but I would imagine that having to surrender it to someone else is not anything someone wants to experience.
Yeah, it was very frustrating and anger type feeling when I had to give it up. And that's when I came out on the sandbag event and tried to win it back.
That's right.
And pulled that sandbag lift out of my ass.
Would you put that up there as one of the kind of cooler or more surreal workout experiences that you've had in the sport?
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be up the top for sure.
Really?
Just like in the warm-up area, couldn't even lift I think it was the first bag, 250 or 275 or whatever it was. And then we went out there and everyone was just not failing and just kept going. We got 300, 310, 320. It was crazy. And I just remember the adrenaline and yeah, it was a surreal moment. It was insane. Definitely the number one list for that.
And probably a moment you couldn't have predicted.
You said it was a moment that you would have predicted.
I lost you for 1 sec. What was that?
I was just saying, and it's an event and a moment during an event that you couldn't have seen coming. Like it caught you off guard.
Oh yeah, caught me off guard, massively. hadn't done anything over 200 pounds ever before.
Did you talk to some of the other athletes? Did they also say that these are the heaviest sandbags we've ever seen or had our hands on?
Can't really remember, but I think most of us were in the same boat.
Yeah, I remember talking to someone. They said, I guess, and they had that strongman come back there, show you a demonstration, and then everyone tried to bag, and I think only like one person out of all the men that were lined up, only one person got it. So everyone, it was something weird like that. People were saying, I think Velner and Fikowski said the same thing. Like they couldn't even get that first sandbag in warm-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely caught us off guard. But I like those events. I feel like I can adapt quicker than the others.
Have you been okay? You got to forgive me for this one because I've been a little out of touch. Have you done your interview with Dave Castro yet?
He has.
Yeah, I have.
Have you watched any of the others?
I haven't.
I was testing you there to see if you were true to your word about watching nothing that had to do with CrossFit.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't watched any of them.
Well, one of the top guys in the sport, he said to Dave, bring back the old days. I want to see 15 events. I want to see blood and sweat and tears. I want it to be so hard that it breaks other men. Do you resonate with that?
Yeah, I'll be down. Whatever. I'm up for whatever. I mean, the harder it is, the better.
That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear, I don't want to do Chad. I don't care what it is. If it's a test, you guys are competing for the test. Just show up and show me what you got.
Yeah, literally. It's a CrossFit Games. So you got to expect anything, especially now Dave's back programming.
Well, you got to remember.
Whatever it will be, it will be.
You got to remember that Ricky, when he started CrossFit, was during that era of old CrossFit. When you came back after 4 years, did you notice? Did you notice there was a change? Did you see that there was kind of a change in CrossFit? Things were different from 2016, 2017 to 2022. Did you notice a difference?
Not massively, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
just different pace.
I mean, the level had definitely increased.
Mm-hmm.
The weights were moving, and the times are putting up, and the fitness and some of the movements have progressed. With the pirouettes and crossover double unders and stuff like that. But in terms of the atmosphere and the crowd and stuff, I felt like it was pretty similar.
That's actually great to hear from the athlete perspective because, we can watch, especially if you're watching from home, you can have your perspective, you can think these things, but being there on the floor is totally different. So I actually really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the competition level in Oceania right now on the men's side of the house, because last year, Jay Crouch, he broke through relative to his he'd been having good semifinals, but he's kind of like stagnant middle of the field in the games. He broke through to the top 10. He backed it up at Rogue. Bailey Martin broke finally the curse of semifinals, got to the games, and he had a great finish there, knocking on the door of the top 10. And those two guys were pushing you at the semifinal. I mean, at the end of the day, you're on top of the podium, but look at the points there. Those, to me, look like three guys that could potentially all be in the top 10 at the games. Do you feel similarly about the level that Bailey and Jay are at?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. All three of us could definitely be in the top 10. And, I mean, the way the boys are going, they could even get into that top 5. I mean, semi-finals was a good test, as you could see. That there wasn't much between us. But we know the games is always a little bit different, and they did have a really good year last year, and I think they've probably both improved mentally and physically since then. So, I mean, if it was us three boys on the podium, that'd be insane. But maybe we can do it. Who knows?
How much, from your perspective, competing against those two guys, just trading blows the whole weekend, how fun was the semifinals this year?
Yeah, I mean, compared to the first Torian I had when I came back, it was chalk and cheese in terms of fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was serious at times, but most of the times it was good banter back and forth, and reminiscing about the workouts and how it went down, and predicting the results of the workout before we went out there and stuff like that. It was always a good laugh.
Well, you mentioned your first Torian. Well, your first Torian, you almost didn't make it through that first event.
Yeah, nearly died.
Nearly died. That's pure Ricky right there. Nearly died after the first event, but jumped out of the ambulance and still competed.
I've learnt my lesson from that.
CJ says
maybe I've just gotten fitter where I can.
Go ahead and finish, Ricky. Go ahead and finish. What were you saying?
Oh, I said maybe I've just learnt. I've gotten fitter, so I can go out that hard now and hold on.
And you're probably you're probably eating and sleeping a lot better before that first event.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
How nervous do you get before competitions these days?
Yeah, pretty nervous. Not as much as I used to in the past. I mean, it's similar feeling, but I think I've just gotten better at controlling it and understanding it, and just knowing that it's okay to feel like that. From experience, just like there's so many memories where you're so nervous and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and you go out there and you win the event, or you do 10 times better than you thought you would have, and it's just reminding yourself that you've done it before and you're in the right place and you're meant to have these feelings.
CJ was mentioning this gap in event number 1. You won the workout, but you won it by a significant margin. When I was looking at the Oceania leaderboard, I noticed event number 2. Fourth place is still a good finish, but it's a half the time domain workout, and you're a minute or so behind Jay there, 30 seconds behind Bailey. When you looked back at the semifinal, did you identify this workout as something that kind of pissed you off? Was there something that you think you need to get better at based on this workout? Or was there something that maybe happened that we don't know about?
Nah, it's definitely a type of workout I need to get better at. One problem was probably the grip choice that I made. Didn't have the best grip on the bar, which affected my energy and fatigue. But just squatting, front squatting. The boys were fast at getting to the bar and getting those squats done. I was just kind of laboring on those squats more than them, and it just added up over the 5 rounds.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot of front squats at that weight. Do you feel like, with the amount of time that passes from a semifinal to the games, that if you identify something like that, that there is actually an opportunity for you to maybe, round out your fitness a little bit with regard to something specific like a squatting cycle speed?
Yeah, it's definitely since touring we've been working on it, because we're kind of happy with my max strength for squats, but we're just working on the speed and the tempo at lighter to moderate weights. So it's something we've been doing every week since touring.
When you whenever you finish a competition, do you spend a lot of time in reflection afterwards?
Only on events I wasn't happy with, or if I didn't do well at.
Interesting.
Just,
So
yeah,
there,
reflect on those.
I think that's probably pretty normal. I think that just for humans in general, you could have a 99 things go well and one thing go bad, and that's the thing that's going to stick in your mind. But I was also kind of
Yeah.
curious if sometimes, because what you just said about the squatting, like you're so good at so many things that sometimes there are specific things that you're working on it. And if an event comes up in a competition that gives you an opportunity to test that thing and it goes well, do you ever take the chance to come back home and say, like, damn, I'm proud of the work that I did on this, and that because of that work I was able to do that?
Yeah, for sure. I think the things that you're really good at, I don't think you have to reflect on them, because you just know that you're good at them, and it's a very easy memory in your mind because you had so much fun doing it. And I think just with the weakness stuff, it's just like, yeah, just working on it. For me, sometimes whether I've gotten better at it or not, I'm not sure, but I think just from doing it more and building the confidence in that movement, and when it comes up in competition, knowing that I'd been putting in the work the last few weeks, just gives me that confidence when I go out there that, like, you've been working on this, like, there's no need to be nervous, like, you're ready, let's do it. And yeah, just trying to have that mindset when you go out there.
Gonna test your CrossFit Games history knowledge a little bit here. You ready?
Yeah. What do you got
So
for me?
Sarah Cooper says, I watched 333 the other night. They should bring that one back. I'm gonna
Oh, yeah.
ask you, do you remember you know what the 333 is, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember,
Start with 300 double unders, 3K row, 3 mile run.
row, double under, run?
Yeah. Row, double under, run.
Do you remember the one year that they had the fans do a vote? It was double DT versus heavy DT.
Yeah. 2016.
2016. It was either I think it was 2015 and then 2016. Because they did the other one the next year.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it was 2016 and 2017, but so yeah. This is my question for you. If Dave Castro put a fan vote this year and he said, fans, you can vote for either the 333 or the burden run. You remember the burden run?
Yeah, the burden run. Yeah, where they carried the log and then it had the pig flips.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Which one would you want to see again, burden run or 333?
Oh, burden run. Burden run would be awesome.
I agree with you.
One of the coolest events. I remember watching it. And replicating it back home as best I could. But I used like a big truck tire. We carried like an old log, because that was back when my brother was training for the games. We kind of was simulating events from the previous, like before 2015. So yeah, I'd love to do that.
I'm kind of hoping that Dave brings back an old school event, and I'm kind of hoping that he brings back something like the fan vote also, and just kind of gets the people involved in it a little bit. And those two, I think that would be a fun fan vote throwback.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I forgot about the fan vote, but that'd be cool if he brings that back.
Well, we'll see. I think that there's obviously some limitations with the venue. So many events are going to be in the venue, but I think that there's a chance that he's going to lean into something that he pulled out 10 years ago, and we'll see what it is.
Yeah, maybe the Friday Night Lights will be the burden run.
That'd be a good one.
That would be I think that would win people back over who are frustrated about Chad.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what do you think the twist is for Chad? I
put a post up as soon as Dave announced that, just kind of giving my first reaction to it, and he responded and said, "Oh yeah, there's going to be a twist." And I just kind of have decided I'm not going to try to make any crazy guesses about workouts this year. I just want to enjoy the announcements. Just let them come, watch whatever you guys do with it, and embrace the, being a fan again almost.
I don't. Everyone's predicting the twist is like some type of some type of implement or whatever. I think the twist is actually going to be that I think the chat is going to be some type of buy-in or some type of ranking system, or whoever finishes first on that gets I don't know. I feel like it's going to be something like that, where that's a twist to incentivize, because a lot of people, Chad's one of those workouts where you're just stepping up a box. No one's going to try to go too fast. They're probably going to just go at their own pace and see where it lies. But I think if he incentivizes it, puts something on the line for it as a twist, it'll force athletes to go a little bit quicker. So I don't know. I could see it being maybe like a buy-in for something, or which will be a terrible buy-in for something, 40 minutes, 45 minutes of stepping up on a box. But I think that's what I think.
You know what I reckon it'll be?
What?
I reckon it'll be burpees. Burpee step-ups.
Oh, well, that would make it longer then.
1,000 reps.
I don't think he wants to. Yeah, I don't think that would make it so much worse, but that would make that workout so much longer.
Yeah, it'd take 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Have you and Alex done any like an AMRAP or anything like that with Chad yet? Has Justin programmed anything like that? Do you plan on doing something?
We did like a 20-minute EMOM of 1 minute of step ups, 1 minute of walking, like speed walking, just to introduce it.
I understand.
We're not going to test. We're not going to test it. I don't think there's any point in testing it. I think it's just something.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You just do it on the day, and you get it done, and just fight and compete with the people next to you.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago or so, maybe a little longer than that, I remember watching a video of Rich Froning's, and he said like a massive percentage of the CrossFit Games is a mental. And if I was ever going to say that was applicable to a workout, this one would be right up there in the mix. Like, you're going to be hurting. Everyone's going to be hurting. Would you agree that the ability to tap into something, that mental toughness, is going to be a separator for this?
Yeah, for sure. I think majority of us will be close up until the halfway point, 500 reps, and then I think you'll start to see who's got the toughness to finish strong.
Usually, I would say in a majority of workouts at the games, and just in competition in general, you have a pretty good idea of where you're at in a workout. whether it's against your heat or if you're in a later heat relative to whatever the time to beat is. If this workout is just, imagine that this workout is in a square, and they're like the first workout of semifinals was, and it's just 4 rows of 10 and everyone's looking at each other and there's no way to know where anyone else is at. Like, how weird would it be to be doing that workout and think you know where you're at, but never really know if you're in first, fifth, 10th, or last?
That'd be crazy. I think you'll just have to know by your effort, and sometimes you'll be feeling good and you'll be like, there's no way someone can keep this pace, so surely I'm in front. And maybe you're not, maybe you are, but you just have to keep going.
Talking about that, it reminds me of the 2008 finale. You remember this one when Jason Kalipa won?
2008. The ring muscle ups, or was it at the ranch?
You're thinking of 2009, I think, when Miko Salo, but 2008 was the every second counts, where they had the 30 squat clean and jerks at 155 to close out the weekend. And they started on a delay. So you don't know, because it was just your cumulative time of the entire weekend. Nobody really knew who was done until someone was done, and then they were like, done.
That'd be crazy.
I'm kind of
you never know.
I'm kind of hoping that that they've come up with a system where the athletes don't know, but the fans know. So there's like some kind of counting device so that you can like tune in and watch, but you guys are just out there battling until it's over.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because then you might know something by the way the crowd reacts when you do something.
But you got to just have to figure it out. And I really love that element of this sport when you guys have to, the word you used earlier, adapt on the fly. If you could choose, would you rather know all of the workouts or none of the workouts?
Yeah, I'd rather know none of them. I'd rather know none of them until we got out there and they tell you the workout as you go.
Chaos.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Have you ever done a workout like that in training? Like Cotler's just lined you up and he's going to be like, hey, we got a workout. Here you go. And just do this until I tell you to stop, and then you're going to do something else.
I haven't actually, but might give him an idea.
All right, Justin, there you go. Sometime between now. Yeah, you got 3 weeks to figure it out. Give Ricky and Alex a run through of your own version of a chaos event in the gym there.
Chaos.
PC, what do you got?
Bring it on.
Well, you brought up Justin. Can you talk to us about like how important it is to have someone like Justin? Like you and Justin have a great relationship. And obviously, he's one of the first people who just like, hey, I believe in you. I'm gonna give you a shot. I mean, and also in light of what's recently happened with underdogs. I mean, how important is a person like Justin to have on your side?
Yeah, Cotler's he's a great guy, and he's had my back since we got together in 2021, and he's been a massive help since. He's coached me since. He's done all my programming. He's been there as a mate, and someone you can talk to whenever you need. And I just like his approach, his attitude, his personality. He's a little bit more old school compared to the rest of them, and I like that about him. And he's got that character that I resonate with, and we both like to get fired up at the right time when we've earned the reason to get fired up. And with the whole underdog stuff, I think I felt pretty bad for him, and yeah, as we said before, with adversity, he's another one that's overcome a lot of adversity, and yeah, we just got to keep moving on and stay focused on what we can control. And yeah, the first week here in Vegas has been great. The training's been awesome. The vibes have been great. He's been there every day, pushing me and Alex, and yeah, getting us ready to put on our best performance yet. So yeah, much respect and appreciation for him.
I got two questions when it comes to the coaching side of things. One of them is, how much of a difference does it make having a coach in person with you during training as opposed to just being sent training remotely?
Yeah, the biggest thing I probably noticed this week is just like their presence when they're there watching you and like standing over you. They don't even have to say anything, and you just automatically go harder and want to go faster and not slow down, and you kind of just you want to do them proud and show that you're giving your best effort.
Do you know who the first coach in CrossFit to say that was?
Who's that?
Coach himself, Greg Glassman. I can't remember what interview it was, but he said, I don't even care if you're in your garage rowing by yourself and your dog walks past, you're going to row a little bit harder.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like even we had Chris Hinshaw here with us all week, doing some programming for us and coaching, and even just having his presence and his energy and just the amount of passion and stuff he has towards the sport and endurance. It's just like you just want to do him proud and give it your best effort in front of him, and yeah, it's really cool to feel that and experience that with him. And yeah, he's a ball of knowledge, so it was cool to hang out.
I've spent a good amount of time with Chris over the years, and I actually was at Power Monkey Camp with him last September. So I was actually now in the athlete role as he was going through that, identifying my paces, identifying my breathing rhythms, strike patterns on the ground. And that guy is lethal when it comes to the detail.
Yeah, he's insane. It's very impressive, the knowledge he has and the finer details and the pacing and the times you should hit and all that stuff without even really knowing me that well. He was pretty accurate.
He probably knows you better than you think.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems that way a bit.
The second question I wanted to ask about the coaching is, how would you describe the importance of a coach's presence throughout the year when it comes to programming and managing your training compared to during a competition, and how critical those conversations are between events?
Like you're saying, the importance of having a coach there year round.
Like, do you think that, would you rather have a coach who writes great programming, but during the competition, it's kind of like he doesn't get me, or someone who writes, average programming I could get anywhere, but during competition, he knows exactly the right thing to say to me?
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I like. I prefer to have someone that can actually say the right things and coach you at a competition and make you feel good and confident and pick you up when you're down and have strategies that you guys can relate to and kind of be on the same page with. And and all that stuff. I definitely would prefer that, and that's why I like Cotler. Cotler's a great in-person coach.
You just described Cotler. CJ here says, can't watch now, but let's go, Ricky. You've got big fans down here in Virgin Islands. Big. Jason Isaacs,
cool.
Hey, Ricky. Hope you're doing well physically and mentally. Wishing all the best this year at the games. CJ again. No matter how he finishes, Ricky's always compelling to watch. Great for the sport. And then CJ again. I think if the top 5 guys at the games were tied for first place and it came down to a bar fight, Ricky would win for sure. Love that.
I'll be down for that.
When you hear, this is my last question because I know you're probably sweating your ass off. It's probably already 100 degrees there in Vegas. But
yeah, I'm sitting outside because it's better reception. But it's like 110 degrees.
When we first talked in Dubai, God, what it seemed forever ago. One of the things you and Michelle even asked me this too was like how you're a little bit concerned of how people react to you, like you coming to the games, would you get booed, stuff like that. It wasn't a big deal, but you still were a little concerned about that because I think deep down you want to be liked by people. But when you came to the games that year and you heard the cheers, and then here we are 2 years later, people are showing all the support, telling you, "Hey, Ricky, you're awesome. You're doing good. You have fans here." I mean, how does that make you feel? Do you feel like that you're past that now? That that's in the past. People accept you for who you are now, and does it make you feel better?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just I'm glad that I can be an example of when you make a mistake or you think your life's ruined, that you can turn it around and never give up, and you can still live the life that you want to live, even if things don't go to plan and things go off track. And I think that's probably half the reason I've built back some fan base, is because I'm relatable to majority of the people. I mean, most people don't have the easiest life, and things always get tough. And I think, my kind of situation is relatable to other people, so it kind of resonates with them, and that might be why they will decide to cheer me on.
And right on cue, Ricky. Can't wait to watch you dominate at the games. Yeah. So.
Thanks, Samantha. All right, Ricky, we're gonna let you get out of the heat. It is it means a lot to us. It means a lot to us that you took the time to do this. We both are super excited to see you compete at the games this year. Happy you got over here safely and early. Wish both you and Alex the best with the training, and we're gonna look forward to giving you a hug and watching you kick some ass in August.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to see you both, and enjoy the show, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Ricky.
Thanks, PC. Thanks, Brian.
There's Ricky Garard, live from Vegas. Absolute honor to have him on the show. Great guy, great competitor. And I think the conversation that we had just about the resiliency in life in general, whatever your thoughts are about his past, it's something that everyone should be able to understand, because every single one of us makes mistakes. Every single one of us has things that don't go our way. And every one of us has a choice of how we respond to adversity, whatever it ends up being in our life. And I think that regardless of however you feel about those things from his past, that if you can't find the empathy to realize that you have a past too, that you've done things that you would have changed also, and that you've had the same opportunities to make a choice one way or the other going forward from that, you're missing at least a part of the picture. So I appreciate him having, the vulnerability to talk about it, the perspective that he's able to share. And, there was some comments in here about just the state of the men's field in general and how competitive it is this year. And obviously having Ricky in the field adds to that. And from a sport perspective, in addition to the human perspective, having Ricky out there in Texas in August is going to make everything that happens that much more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a much deal, a lot of people talking about like how the women's field is kind of diluted this year compared to last year, and it's the complete opposite for the men. Complete opposite, where you add Ricky, and then everyone just seems like they're leveling up this year. I mean, you brought Dallin, and then I mean, just even talking about the Aussies, like you could, or the people in Oceania, not all Aussies. Bailey's not an Aussie, but they leveled up. Just from the games last year. I mean, that was a games where Ricky wasn't there. And then now Ricky to compete against all three of them at the Oceania, and you saw those margins, and you saw how close it was. And then, I mean, and there's always one or two athletes that come out of nowhere on the men's side that kind of just surprise, this year. I mean, it could be anyone. It could be an Austin Hatfield. It could be a Jack Rosenberg. It could be, Annual Akai. It could be one of those guys that could maybe they step up this year as a rookie, or or someone like Moritz, who's been around for a while. Maybe he makes that next jump into that next year of athletes. But that men's field, it's so stacked. It really is. And I mean, Dave with all his programming and whatever he has planned, these athletes, them going against each other, against that programming, this might be the fittest field yet, in my opinion. Fittest in terms of field. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like it has the potential to be. There's some other guys, not rookies, but I feel like guys like Henrik Kapalainen and Jelle Hoste are going to come back better than we've ever seen them. Even veterans like BKG, I think, is going to be a tougher competitor this year than he was last year. Even though he's been 8th or 9th for 3 straight years, I think this is going to be the best version of Lazar Jukic we've ever seen. I think it's going to be a completely different version of Luka Jukic than we saw 3 years ago. It's just up and down the field. You throw in guys that surprised at semifinals like Harry Lightfoot. You throw in guys that we were expecting to make it, but we don't know how good they are, like Victor Hoffer. And everywhere you look, it just seems like this field is radiating talent, potential, excitement. And all these guys have big fan bases. All these guys do have the potential to have great performances. And whether they're for a workout or for a weekend, we don't really know yet. But yeah, it's gonna be a blast. And we'll do a show that's specifically about the men's field. We'll do a show that's specifically about the women's field, and we'll really get a chance to dive into it. But to me, it was just nice to spend a little bit of time with Ricky. We did get to have dinner with him after the Rogue Invitational last year, and to hang out with him personally. You get to know, that side of him that you can't see on the competition floor, and it's nice to be able to share some of that with you guys.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I mean, and we briefly mentioned him, but his partner Michelle, she's just she's his number one fan, number one supporter, and she's sacrificed a lot to help him out too. I mean, she has a full-time job, but she travels everywhere with him. She saves up leaves and stuff like that. She does a lot of stuff, and it's a tribute to her. We talk about that a lot. I mean, it's something. Hiller's going to release his video today on Abigail Domit today. It's about, he sent me a copy of it to kind of watch over and screen over, and it's really good. It really is. I actually think it might be better than his Haley Adams. But the thing that got me on that is for 48 minutes, it's just not about Abigail. It's also about her partner, her husband, Anton, also. And I think that's something that we know about Tia and Shane. But what about the partners that aren't really like a part of their athletic, I guess, whether as a coach or a trainer or something like that. But I mean, you have so many of these athletes who have a partner that make things possible for them. And I think, Michelle is that for Ricky. She keeps him grounded. She's out there, and it's like, it's also like his like a, what do you want to call those? A lighthouse. Like when he's out on a competition floor, he's looking for that, as soon as he's done. And I think that's cool. And I think that's really cool that, that those stories are starting to come out too.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool that Andrew sent you that and gave you a chance. I saw the kind of, I guess I would call it the review that you wrote on Instagram.
I like writing movie reviews. I used to do that. I used to write movie reviews.
But it's something I've spoken about a little bit publicly, but it's something that I've spoken about a lot with the partners of athletes in this sport over the last year. It was actually in Finland last year where I met Ludwig Hansen's significant other partner, and had a nice conversation with her and kind of resonated those feelings that you just expressed about how hard and critical it is when you're in a relationship with an athlete to be supportive in the way that they are. And when I was having this conversation, I had no idea the kind of impact it would have on her. And maybe the next day, Ludwig sent me a message basically saying that it was extremely important for her, and very powerful. And it's something that really stuck with me. And I've had an opportunity to experience that. I spent a lot of time with Aniol and his girlfriend Helena in Pamplona and San Sebastian last year. And there's just been more and more opportunities to see that. So the fact that he also is recognizing that and being able to showcase it for people who don't have that perspective, that makes me feel good, because for most athletes, and not just in this sport but in sports in general, you'll hear them talk about their support team, but specifically that one person that's there every day with them, that every night when they're beaten up and broken down and going back home and wanting to sleep 10 hours, and they're just like, you can feel the life of an athlete can feel selfish, but it kind of has to be. If you're one of the best in the world, the margins are small. And if you're the person that's there with them, it can be difficult, especially over a long period of time, to kind of put up with that. But obviously the reward at the other end is pretty powerful. So very cool to hear.
Yeah,
and
Ricky
give that one a watch.
Yeah, Ricky brought that up. Whereas, he said it here where he's like, when he leaves the gym, he kind of just shuts it off. He leaves it at the gym. And, he's a guy. And I think that's one reason. And it must be hard for him, because Ricky is one of those guys who has a lot of extracurricular activities. He likes to stay active. But when he leaves the gym, he leaves that gym alone. So now, mountain biking used to be his thing on his e-bike. Well, that he kind of had to get rid of that. But he's found other hobbies. And I think Michelle also helps out with that too. Coming home and they spend time together. They just talk about their days and stuff like that. From what she tells me, that he's there for her, and he asks her what her day's like and stuff. And I think that's important, because you mentioned it is being an athlete at that level, it is selfish. But at the same time, if you are being supported by someone who's sacrificing so much, I think there's moments where you have to show your unselfishness and ask them how their day is going. Because more than likely, your day as an athlete, it's like Groundhog Day. It's on rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it sucked. Today sucked. Today sucked. Whatever. Today was hard. It's like I worked out for 4 hours today. That's how my day went. Ate chicken and rice. That's how my lunch went. It's kind of rinse and repeat every time. But yeah. So yeah, if you're should come out today, Hiller's little thing. I thought it was really cool. I learned a lot about Abigail. I didn't know she's actually from St. Louis. So, yeah, St. Louis, Missouri. I don't know exactly where. I don't know if we know any of the same. St. Louis is one of these things where when you meet someone, the first thing they ask you is where you went to high school. That's kind of like the St. Louis greeting. So I'm interested if we have any common friends or if we know any of the same acquaintances. So, but yeah.
Well, not exactly the same age though.
Yeah. Well, I run in so many circles though, Brian.
That's true.
I run in a lot of different circles. If you're someone that needs to be someone in St. Louis, I probably know you some way or some form. Yeah. So good day today.
Yeah, I mean, we just closing down the competition. I don't always get to stay after. Last night I stayed with the team all the way till 4 or 5 hours after the competition, taking down the floor, packing up the equipment, cleaning up the arena, and then this morning back at it, doing it again, helping out Roger and the guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, I think you told Ricky about it right at the start. It's very unexpected surprise this afternoon that Saud, the director of the DFC, happens to be in Oslo. We just kind of figured that out and ended up getting a workout in together, and having a 30 or 45 minute competition. We're basically talking a lot about a DFC this year. It is going to happen. So there'll be some information coming out about that. I don't know exactly when, but I think I'll be involved in it. And he was even sharing some of his ideas about the programming this year. So, if you're looking for an opportunity in December to compete, it sounds like the qualifiers are going to be coming back, and that DFC should be happening sometime in December.
Oh, nice, cool. I'm a big fan of the qualifiers for that particular event. I know some people aren't, but for that particular event, I am kind of excited about. Speaking of which, December CrossFit in December. I think it was maybe Spin put something out, or I know Halpin put something out as well regarding Fit Fest, and they already introduced captains. It sounds like.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot in the background about Fit Fest. It's going to also be in December, and they have announced their dates, the 6th through the 8th on their. I didn't announce them; they're just kind of there on their Instagram. So if you're looking for it, you can find it. And I don't really know the timing of when they decided on the format, but they have now showed that they have this Europe versus the world format, which is somewhat interesting and funny compared to the Tier Cup, which has North America versus the world. We don't know any of the athletes for the Tier Cup, even though it's happening 3 months before Fit Fest. But now we do know 4 of the athletes for that competition. And it's like you have to kind of shift your mindset, because the captains for the world team are Ariel Lowen, who's from the US, and Ricky Garard, who's from obviously Australia. And then the Europe captains, BKG and Emma McQuaid. And in a situation like this, I always wonder if these were their first choices, or if they were, turned down by someone and then ended up with these athletes as the captains.
I don't know. I think Emma, with her ties to, she's Irish. She's probably one of the more accomplished athletes in the UK, Ireland region. Because are the organizers of Fit Fest? Are they also the organizers for Strength and Depth?
Yes. There's a lot of the same people are involved. Yes.
Yeah, I figured there's some ties there. Maybe that's why Emma's there. As for BKG, I think that's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. But then you also got to look. Also, another thing I would look at too is their management teams, the people who are the people. Yeah, you have the organizers, but you also have the managers who supply the athletes. And in this case, it'd be someone like Bachlan with Snorri and Lucille, and then Strength in Numbers based out of the UK with that group, with Cheska, with drawing a blank.
James
Seeley. My apologies on that, James. Sorry. Though last year, if you look at a lot of the athletes, it seemed like they were coming from those particular management. It just makes it easier if I'm an organizer. If you dealt with one management company to get athletes. I mean, we kind of did the same thing when we were trying to bring guests on. I mean, we started off with one athlete from Bachlan, and then and Sin as well, and they started filtering in for us. So I think it might be the same way. Just kind of showing some loyalty to the managers and the managers.
I mean, even with Reps Ahead, Cooper was a big believer in that, and then we've been able to. And I mean, in all cases, these are some big time athletes, but it's just a different example of a partnership creating opportunities for everyone that's involved: competition, athlete, and agency.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of shows you that the behind the scenes. Obviously, I know a little bit more behind the scenes. We both do in terms of stuff like that, but it's smart. It makes it easier, especially if you want some of the top athletes and these managers have them. It might be one of those things where, hey, I'll convince so-and-so to do this, but you also have to take this athlete as well. I mean, there might be stuff like that going on. I don't know for sure if that's happening, but I wouldn't be surprised. But to help out other athletes, to get them the exposure. But no, I think it's I'm curious. I like the flip on that though.
Yeah, and I love this group of four. Like these are a lot of experience, good veterans, different personalities. And I'm also hopeful that FitFest does tap into some of the younger athletes somehow again. You know how they had Lucy there last year. The UK Championships happened this weekend. There's a girl there, Anita McCarthy, up and coming young girl in the UK. So maybe we'll see someone like that, Connie Easby, who we saw at the semifinals, who's also going to compete at Belgrade Games. You know, Jen Weir, like that was there. Jen was there last year, right? But I hope that whether it's from the world or from the UK, that there is an opportunity for some of that youth, Ella Wilkinson, something like that.
Yeah, I mean it'll be hard because if you're building teams of 4, or if you're building,
Didn't they have 6 or 8 last year?
6, so there's 4 separate teams, and there's 6 members on each team.
Oh, I don't know the format for FitFest at all, but I thought there was just a male and female captain for the world and a male and female captain for Europe. So it's 2 teams. I think it might be of 8, 4 male and 4.
Yeah,
but
so you're looking at
I'm not sure for sure. Like what they put out today is that's what I know in terms of the team structure.
Yeah. I mean, if it's 2 teams, then you figure 4 and 4. But I mean, it'd be hard for Europe.
There are some things about FitFest that I don't quite understand. Like, I didn't understand why they didn't want to have spin stream the second and third day last year. And how I understood it from quickly what I saw on Halpin's Instagram was that was sent out to ticket purchasers from last year, which is like, I can kind of understand, showing some loyalty to those people, but at the same time, like, why wouldn't you want to bring in more interest and some new stuff? So I'm curious to see if in the next couple of days they have a bigger marketing plan for the community at a large, instead of just sending it to the people that are already bought in. And probably you'll get some returners, but they're going to have some turnover. Not everyone who went last year is going to go again.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. I mean, or you might have more. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I'm not very familiar with those organizers. Maybe that's something, again, with me being over in Europe. Maybe that's something where I have the opportunity to kind of go there and see it for myself and get to meet those people and figure it out. Dave said event 1 for the games will be released this week. He did. Have you been watching? How are you doing on the Dave interviews? I know you've been busy.
Dude, I mean, look on since I've been here, Roger and I have left his house at between 7 and 8 a.m. every day and gotten back between 9 and 10 p.m. every night. And then on the competition days, we were at the venue at 7:30, leaving the venue at 9:30 or later. Last night, we left the venue at 11:30 p.m. and we were back there at 9:30 this morning. And, you had to eat and shower and whatever. So there has not been time to watch those things.
Well, as the unofficial tracker of that, he's gotten 48 as of today.
Yeah. I think I saw that you posted that somewhere. Oh, you posted on B.Friendly. I think Halpin's counting them as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'll end up watching all of them or not. There's some in particular that I really want to watch that I'm very curious about watching. But let's see how the next couple of weeks go, and maybe I'll just get into a flow and watch a bunch of them.
They flow right into each other. I mean, they're really easy to watch. I think he's on to really something. I mean, really cool in terms of format, and I've been kind of catching some hints here and there. Not only just on event wise, but also in terms of why he decided to do this. And the reasoning behind it and stuff like that. And but definitely watch the Laura one. That was one of the ones. Like I said, I think I put up in our post. The probably the most difficult ones to get would be Laura, Gabby, and maybe the Koreans. I was able to help out with the Korean on that, which I was pretty cool that happened. I was able to play a small role in making that happen, and also getting Kelly Kim to be the interpreter on that. But yeah, the Gabby and Laura one was really, really good, I think. I mean, you saw a different side of Laura, and it's just like it watching Laura in that interview just like makes me want to interview her even more, because she's such a I don't know. To me, she's just a very interesting person. Her mindset and
everything. I saw somebody posted that they thought Lazar Jukic's was the best one yet, and that kind of surprised me. So I was intrigued to maybe watch that one too.
Oh no, Lazar was a really good one too. You're seeing a lot of athletes are just very comfortable with Dave. And Lazar, Lazar lacks confidence. He's not one that doesn't lack confidence. So,
this is cool. Linda Kieschmans was really good. I highly recommend it. We actually have Linda coming on the show next week, so I definitely will watch that one, and then we'll be able to hopefully get to know her a little bit better as well.
Linda's was funny because I don't think she was trying to be funny, but she was just being like, he asked her like, what do you think about something like, what do you think of Atlanta? She's like, I hate it, or something like, I don't like it. She's just being brutally honest, and it just came off as really funny. Just like, I like Moritz had a really good. Moritz was really good because Moritz is a talker, but he asked Dave a really good question at the end, and that's how I kind of like, that. I think a lot of people that watch are like, okay, what are these athletes going to ask at the end? And Moritz asked them really good. Yeah, I heard Bruno's was good. I heard Ruan's was good. I haven't watched Bruno.
I did watch the one with Ruan Potgeider. He was, that one was definitely a good one. I wonder if we'll be able to talk to him. He's been doing this a long time, longer than I realized, and he seemed to have some really good historical context for the sport in general. It didn't ever get to the point where Dave had to ask him, do you have a question for me? It was like 5 minutes into it, and then the next 7 minutes was all Ruan asking Dave questions. Like, he just kind of took over the interview.
Yeah, I've heard some things about him in terms of how like he's one of these guys who he loves the sport. He's been doing it for a while. He's a coach. He coaches high level athletes. He was coaching while he we'll bring this up. Hopefully we can bring him on. But while he was trying to get punch his games ticket, he was coaching a couple other people in the same semifinal, trying to do the same. So it'd be really interesting to see how he balances that or how he did that. But I'm not surprised by that at all. The one with Tia was good. I mean, looking at the list of who he has left, I really don't see him not being able to get all 80. If anything, I would try to be that one person so that way he doesn't get 80, just to kind of be a dick. Just kidding. More.
Yeah, right, dude. Yeah, you're gonna show up to the games and be like, oh, yeah, we didn't get a uniform for you. Actually, sorry about that.
Yeah. I think Dave was really Moritz has a very, very interesting story, and it was really cool because Moritz was able to tell a little bit of a small piece of his story within a really small time frame, but it's a lot deeper than what he's talked about. But I think Dave would really communicate like Moritz, the way he he's an affiliate owner, he coaches, he's a full-time athlete. It's really cool. I think Dave kind of likes that old school ability of him. So what's next on the agenda for you? Got a couple days in Oslo.
Yeah, Wednesday I think I'm going to train most of the day with the Krieger teams.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea Solberg and Sahir should be there, so that'll be fun. I trained with them a couple sessions last year when I was up here, so get to hang out with them. The teams were all part of the competition this weekend. BLST and PSL were the demo athletes, and then the Riz had their teammates on site as well. There was obviously athletes from CrossFit Oslo that aren't games athletes that were competing in the competition, in the RX intermediate scale divisions. So they were there coaching some of them, cheering on their friends, interacting. Two of the members of the Riz team jumped in and did the erg workout yesterday, cold, and beat everybody, of course. And that was fun. People were cheering for them. They were all selling T-shirts there, different team T-shirts that they designed this year. They did really good with the sales. So the community was supporting them, and they were supporting the community. I'll probably try to play 1 or 2 more rounds of disc golf this week. Just check out some different courses around here. I brought some discs, so I may as well do it if I can. And then I'm hoping to be involved in the Krokol Open in some way this weekend. I was talking to my buddy who's a pro disc golfer, that's coming over. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I have a very flexible schedule and I'm in Oslo this week. So if you need a videographer for your practice round vlogs or a caddy, if the weather's bad during the tournament, hit me up and I'm there. And he said, I actually might, if the weather's bad, I actually might take you up on that. So I'm never want to root for bad weather, but it would be pretty cool to have a chance to caddy for him during a big tournament like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then after that, your next stop is good old Scotland, right?
Yes. So I'm going to fly into Aberdeen on Monday. Trying to meet up. I think Rob Lawson's actually coming back that day as well, but I'm going to do a podcast that day with Kyle Russell, the director of Wild on the Lock. So we'll get to hear from him a little bit. He was supposed to come on a month or two ago and he didn't show up, or he had something come up. So we're going to get him on, preview the competition for the weekend. And then I'm just going to travel around Aberdeen a little bit. Scotland a little bit, and see if I can find Hogwarts. No. I got some friends in different parts of Scotland. Jan Clark, I may go try to say hi to him up in Nairn in the north. I'm going to go to Glasgow and hang out with the guys who do the programming for those strength and depth events from CrossFit Glasgow. They own CrossFit Glasgow. And that's kind of a city that's been on my radar for a long time to visit. So I may spend a day or two there. I'm going to pop over to Edinburgh, see the Castro. So weave in some history, visit some CrossFit boxes, hopefully make some new friends, say hi to some old friends, and then Wild on the Lock. I'll head out to Loch Lomond on the Friday evening, and Saturday and Sunday we'll do our best to stream the competition for you guys. It's off-site competition. It's from the internet perspective, could be the most challenging one we've done potentially. So we'll see. But that's the plan.
Isn't Steve up in the Scotland area?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know Jennifer Muir is. I just wasn't sure if JST is up in that location, or I don't know. I wasn't sure, but
no.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else out there that we need to talk about. I mean, seems a lot of the stuff that's being pushed out right now is through Dave's interviews, which have been great. Really, nothing to report. I mean, obviously, we're still anticipating some announcements from Tier Cup, from Wodapalooza Tier Cup. Today is the last day to register as an athlete. Not today, it's a last call, not the last day, but it's a last call. So head over to Wodapalooza Tier SoCal to register for the individual divisions, the community events as well. So we're hopefully some news on that will be coming out soon. Again, there should be a couple. Dave was hinting at a couple event releases this week. So
okay.
That'll be interesting. He'll say that again. A lot of he did stress that they'll release events, but details on the events will not be released, which is pretty common.
It's we talked about this a lot with Dubai last year.
Yeah.
Because the events were dropped, but the distances weren't there, the weights weren't there, the rep schemes maybe weren't there. In one case, the movement changed. I'm okay with that. I think it's it's good to string along, build up some excitement, gives people a chance to talk about some stuff. It's always interesting to me which workouts he chooses to release compared to which ones he doesn't. It's like some of the workouts would be like Chad, that's going to drum up a lot of conversation. And then other workouts you can put up to be like, wall walk thruster. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. But so that's about it. I think that's really it this week in terms of what we have coming out content. I think Chad has a couple things that coming out content wise, but in terms of podcasts, I think we're pretty much that's it this week. Brian's been so close about so many of that. No, I don't think it's embarrassing. I think
no. This is something that I've spoken about actually probably several times this year. Is throughout the course of his career in this role that he's in, he has mostly chosen to stay in the dark about a majority of the things that are happening outside of CrossFit Games programming and CrossFit HQ. Keep in mind that in addition to being the director of the games, he's also director of programming and training and has been for a long time. So he's, first of all, got a ton going on. He's also married with kids. He also has his, his ranch to manage and all his own training that he does and rucking and shooting and this, whatever. He's, plus the leather work. And I mean, he's very, and he reads a ton. Like, he's at a very premium for time. He follows this many 0 people on Instagram, and he always has. So he's not like you and me. Like, we go through Instagram as part of our job to stay up to date, to learn, to see what's going on. And Wad Zombie says, I think it's good he stays in the dark to avoid all these other things. So the thing that you said that caught my eye the most, or my ear the most, is that you've been able to pick up some clues about why he's done that, which that's what is curious to me, because this is very contrary to the way that he's generally operated in doing his job as the director of sport for the CrossFit Games. I don't know if that's his official title anymore, but whatever. And V says, I just feel like the leadership within other sports are making an effort to know these sorts of details, like the commissioner of NFL. We've often compared this with Dana White, right, from the UFC, who is intimately engaged and knowledgeable about the athletes, the fights, what happened, the details of them. And I think that it doesn't have to be one for all and all for one in this regard. Like, there are different ways to run a sport successfully. What I have expressed is that I agree with Wad Zombie that I think it's been very valuable for Dave to keep himself kind of, oblivious to, I guess, or unaware of the things that are happening outside of the context of the CrossFit Games season itself, because it allows him to, have this kind of continuously unrolling canvas of ideas of how to progress the sport. And sometimes, as we've seen, he's had ideas, and years later he throws them out there, and he doesn't care if it's been programmed in Europe or Asia or Australia or whatever. That's not his. It's not part of how he operates. On the flip side, I do think, that there have been mistakes that have been made at the CrossFit Games or within the context of the game season that could be avoided if you were aware of the things that were happening peripherally in the sport. Because a lot of people, I mean, look, everybody originally learned from him and his team about how to run competitions in this sport. But now we're at the point where a lot of people have taken the things that they established and then refined them to make them better, sometimes through making mistakes and then learning from that and improving. That there's potentially been also an opportunity to avoid some of the pitfalls in the online parts of the season, in the live parts of the season, with scoring things, with cuts, etc., that maybe he's been missing. I don't know how doing these interviews is going to affect Dave personally in terms of all the stuff that I talked about. I do see value in having the balance, having somebody on the team that is very knowledgeable about competitions and running competitions, programming competitions outside of the game season, in a balance with or in conjunction with a guy like Dave or Adrian, who probably more like Dave. I think Adrian knows a little bit, or probably quite a lot more, who doesn't know that much about them. So I'm not surprised that he hasn't heard of those things. I'm not surprised that he doesn't know a lot of these athletes. I'm not surprised that a lot of the questions he's asking are questions that I'm like, these are just basic knowledge things. That's an affirmation of what I know Dave to be when it comes to that, the sport and the athlete.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say he's completely clueless. He knows who he needs to know. It's just like, V mentioned, like, the NFL commissioner. The NFL commissioner does not know old 2000 NFL players. The NBA commissioner does not know 500 NBA players or whatever. Dave knows the athletes he needs to know. I think he was a little bit more intimate with athletes at the beginning of the sport because it was an intimate thing back then. So that's why he has the relationships with the Dan Baileys, the Andy Thorsars, the Rich Fronings, stuff like that. But that was also when you didn't see that much changeover at the top. Just a couple years away from the sport that Dave has had, there's been so much changeover from the sport that he started to what it is now. You're right. I mean, 80 does seem like it's manageable, but at the same time, it just isn't necessary. Because if he didn't know a lot about these athletes, he wouldn't know. I mean, he's asking questions.
And this is a balance to a conversation, because I can't remember who it is, but someone clipped something of an analyst in the sport, like media personality in the sport, saying we need less people at the games. Just bring 20 men, just bring 20 women. And then some people do have that perspective. We have a smaller field. You get more intimate knowledge about that group of people instead of having half the field that most people don't know very much about and won't see anything really from at the games, because they're only watching the last couple of heats. They don't have the capacity to watch every day or to listen to all these interviews that people like Scott and Sevan and us are doing with all those athletes. And then you have the other side of the equation, which is us, which is people who it's like, it's not 80. I mean, last October, I made a list of my top 200 men and women in the world. And we're out here telling these stories of competitions. Like, there was, I think, one games athlete in the entire field that I streamed this weekend. And it was a team athlete from the Trondheim team last year. And it's like, but I met a ton of people, and I now know a lot more about the community of CrossFit here in Norway by doing this competition. So, there's room for that conversation for sure. I do think that these questions or points that people are bringing up with regards to, Dave's, I don't want to say it's a lack of commitment, but unawareness of the athletes is okay. And I do think that there's an opportunity for it to be better, but I also think he's doing a good job in general, regardless of that.
I think that's what he's doing now. Like, him doing this year, I have a feeling, I think he really enjoys doing this. So I foresee him doing something like this again next year. And then when he interviews these people and come next year, he's not going to need, he can ask some other questions, especially the ones from this past year. So you got to start somewhere. But I will take Dave being not as knowledgeable about athletes this year, or just in general, because it's not his job to know about the athletes. It's his job to know about the sport, the programming, how to draw fans in, how to make this a showcase. That's a lot of stuff to throw on someone. Something has to. There's that. I think it's I forgot what commercial it was, but you have to remember something. You have to forget something. Commercial. I'm trying to remember what it was. But I think it might have been. But anyways, yeah, I'd much rather him do stuff like that. But again, it'll be different next year, and I think it's really cool. And I think it shows Dave's willingness to kind of. We've talked about this before. We've seen an evolution of who Dave is as a person. And as someone
first we speculated about it when he was brought back, and we said it'll be interesting to see the ways that he's evolved and changed since leaving, and now we're really getting to see some of that play out. And I'm also going to need to go in about a minute for dinner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Before you go, then follow Homegrown Relief for a chance to win a $50 store credit. Just scan that QR code there at the bottom to get entered into that contest. Again, Homegrown Relief, they're back supporting us as always. And obviously Brian being on the road, he's probably taking a couple things from Homegrown Relief on the road with him. His relief stick is probably not too far behind. So thanks a lot.
Right over there.
Yeah. Use friend 20 to get 20% off your purchase in the store. I thought you were pointing at my dog when you pointed there. You see my dog?
No, I do see her. Yes.
Yeah, I've changed. As you can see, I've changed my background a little bit. I moved my office into my bedroom in anticipation of I had to get. Yeah. So it's a whole ordeal. But anyways. But hey, thanks everyone for tuning in. As always, thanks for your support. Thanks, Ricky, for coming on, sharing a little bit about himself and training. Looking forward to watching him at the game since I won't be there. But, I didn't have the heart to tell him I wouldn't be there because he's always one of those guys. Me and him always have a good time. But, yeah. So, Brian, if you don't have anything else to say, we're going to sign off. And as always, be friendly, our friends.